And I made a note, it said, demagogue, appeal to prejudice and popularity, despotic in power to have power. Demagogue, appeal to prejudice and popularity rather than rational judgment. So it's despotic is power to have power. So those are the definitions that I looked up already and just have here. So what it's saying is that whenever the founding fathers had created the U.S. Constitution, they understood that this kind of situation could happen, and it's a natural response of somebody who has been put into a lot of power, that power in and of itself can corrupt somebody and make them think more about themselves and their financial interests and their fame and their popularity and just power in itself than doing what is right for the public good. And that is the point of the U.S. Constitution, is to ensure that the public good, the people, not political parties, not certain groups of people, but everybody in America is taken into consideration when laws are created. And that was the whole point of the founding fathers in creating this. It's not about power, and it's not about political parties. It's about the people. And that's what makes America so different, is because here in America, our laws are supposed to be of, for, and by the people. Our taxes are supposed to be of, for, and by the people. It's not supposed to be about any kind of rulers or power or consolidation of power or consolidation of wealth. And if you remember, we had a lot of guys say no taxation without representation. Remember that? They didn't want to be taxed by Great Britain and then not see any of that benefit. It's not right to tax somebody and then not allow them to see the benefit of those taxes. In America, we take our taxes, and then those taxes are supposed to benefit us. It's not supposed to benefit corporations. It's not supposed to benefit the wealthy who don't even pay into the tax system because of these special kickbacks and deductions and everything. It's not about them. It's not supposed to pay for a politician. It's supposed to pay for the people. And somehow along the way, this idea of somebody wanting that for themselves is evil. That if somebody wants to see their taxes benefit themselves, that we're wrong. And that instead we're supposed to be paying bowing down, I guess, to these corporations that are supposed to save us. We don't need them. We can save ourselves. We don't need politicians to save us. We can save ourselves. And when you read the Federalist Papers and you read all the letters to the colonists, and that's what the founding fathers told them. Under this federal branch, under this federal arm, we're going to have a greater protection for the people because states won't be able to consolidate that power and be able to manipulate the people and say, you can't do this because I'm the ruler of the state. Under the federal arm, it was supposed to bring this accountability that everybody had to follow. So it was supposed to dilute the power that would be otherwise proportioned or consolidated into a state. That's what it's about. Somewhere along the way, whether it's just because people didn't even bother to read the letters and instead are pulling arguments from the conventions themselves, not realizing that the arguments that they're pulling forward are actually opposers of the U.S. Constitution. But this whole idea of the U.S. Constitution and this God's sacred rights has gotten way out of hand. If you look at the inalienable rights of the Creator, it's simply about being a moral person and the rights of being a moral person of humanity that God extends to everybody. That's all. It has nothing to do with guns. Those are not God-given rights. The U.S. Constitution is not God-given rights. It's legal rights. It's legal rights of a government, the legal rights of this country, that this is the document, this is the treaty that this country has agreed to, that everybody in this country is going to adhere to. It has nothing to do with God. And the fact that God has been brought into politics is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm talking to you Christians now, because if you look at the rules of God, you cannot use God to force people to believe in God. It completely violates all the tenets of Christianity and the free will and the gift of salvation. So I'm not going to go into any more of that, but U.S. Constitution is not about consolidation of power. It's not about any kind of political party. No party owns the U.S. Constitution. And if you're going to act like an expert on the U.S. Constitution, then you better start reading the freaking Federalist Papers. My goodness. Every argument already hashed out by James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay. It's in here. And if you read it, you would be alarmed because this Federalist Papers is reading like a modern day playbook right now. And that's scary because it shouldn't be. In 2019, we should be far ahead from what they were dealing with during this time, during the 1787. We should be way ahead. 243 years, and we're still having the same stupid arguments that our founding fathers had to have? That's a problem. That means we didn't go forward. We went backwards, and we're continuing to go backwards. You're trying to tell women that we don't have rights? You're trying to tell Black people that they don't have rights? Are you kidding me? The 14th Amendment says that if you're a citizen of the United States of America, then you have full rights and protection of laws. And if you're a citizen or a resident of your state, you have full rights and protection of your laws. That's all it means. I don't know where people are getting all these stupid ideas about the 14th Amendment and trying to bring in all these emotional arguments, but it's very simple. Citizen, full protection, full rights. And we really don't need any other civil rights if we just recognize the 14th Amendment, but we don't. Why? Because people don't do their homework. They don't read the letters. They didn't take the time. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult language, but that's what's called studying. It takes studying. And if you don't know a word, look it up in the dictionary. Look it up, research, but you don't look at something, cherry pick it, and then say you're a constitutional expert. That's ridiculous. So this is what I'm going to help you with. Read a lot of it. Actually, I read all of it. And if you ever do read it, if you use a crayon, it kind of helps your brain not feel like it's so intimidating. I mean, how could something be so intimidating if you use a crayon on it? But I would encourage you to get a copy of the Federalist Papers, pick a night, choose one letter each night, or choose a week, one letter per week, and try to understand what your U.S. Constitution is really about, because that letters that was written, I think, over like a year and a half, using the newspaper. Thank goodness for the Gutenberg press, because if it wasn't for that invention, we probably wouldn't have the U.S. Constitution, because the colonists probably wouldn't have ratified it. But those letters convinced the colonists to ratify that U.S. Constitution. And that U.S. Constitution is so important for us because that formed the foundation of all the laws in America. It is the supreme law of the land. And when politicians who apparently didn't read it try to tell you what the U.S. Constitution says, they pervert it. They take only the words of the U.S. Constitution, didn't bother to do their own homework, and then try to claim expertise, and then they pervert it for their own political party. So don't let them. So do your homework, take a letter, and then I'm going to be helping you out because this is my new Shakespeare, and I'm going to be modernizing it as much as I can for you. But for the long passages, I'm just going to do it this way. So you just have to deal with me and my stumbling over the words because I'm not perfect. But that's what Redesign Your Thinking is. It's not perfect. It's a scrappy underdog who's had enough and has started a startup corporation in order to take on the giants, just to reach you, to say you are enough just as you are. And once you learn your laws, once you do your homework, you're going to see it. And my video keeps messing up, so I'm going to end it here. Technology in me, but it keeps freezing. And if you notice my other videos, it keeps going all wonky on me, so I don't know. But we're going to keep on doing this. We're going to keep struggling with the technology. And see, I got a fancy mic now, so I'm going to be official. And all these people who are these talk show hosts and these nonprofit lecturers and claimers of the U.S. Constitution, let them see what it really looks like from the founding fathers themselves, because America is about the people, and it's not about politicians, and it's not about power. It's about us, and our politicians work for us, and it's about